Hello, chappets! Pop quiz for you. I want you to tell me which game contains the following resources. Bread. Weapons. Magic potion. And beer. Any clues? No. Okay, well it's this one. Lettuce. Which is really strange because there are no lettuces in this game. So this game is actually called Lutèce, not Lettuce, so don't go up to the designer when you see him and say, "Excuse me, why is your game called Lettuce and there's no lettuces in it?" Because you'll be a right idiot. Yeah, you'll be a right idiot. Lutèce is a small card game, and it's a simultaneous bidding card game where you're trying to get a collection of cards that will give you the maximum points at the end of the game. Let me show you in this video how to set this game up, how to play this game, how to win at this game. No, I'm not going to show you how to do that. But how to play this game anyhow. And then I will give you a review of the game, and then I will tell you if it's my cup of tea or not. And I'll finish off by letting you decide whether this is something that should be sat on your shelf or whether it should go back in time and be auctioned off to some asterisk looking character. In the middle of the table, you'll set up a marketplace. The size of it will depend on how many players there are. If there are 2 to 3 players, you'll place out A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. In a 4-player game, you'll add the D and the 4, and in a 5-player game, you will add the E and the 5. There are also 2 decks of cards which go with these 2 lines. There are people and there are places. And again, you may have to remove cards from these 2 decks depending on the number of players. And that's a very simple case of just looking for this little number in the bottom corner. As you can see, this is for a 3-player game or more, so if you're playing 2-player games, you would remove it. The top row is for the people and the bottom row is for the places. What you'll do is you'll place out as many cards as there is empty spaces in each row. So there'll be 5 in the top row of people and 5 in the bottom row of places. Each player chooses a colour they wish to be and they take a deck of cards corresponding with that colour. Each deck is exactly the same. They have the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 which correspond with the people, and then the A, B, C, D, E which correspond with the places in the middle of the table. Again, if you're playing with less players than 5, you will have to remove obviously the cards that are not going to be used because you're not going to be bidding on those items. There are also 2 money cards which is used to get money. And talking about money, each player will start the game with 6 sesterces of money. Gameplay is very simple. On the player's turn, they will all simultaneously choose 2 of their cards to play for this round, and they will place these face down. Now you have to bear in mind that you're going to be bidding on some of these items. You may be bidding on people, you may be bidding on places. You can bid on 2 things completely different if you wish. You can also play one of the money cards, which will not give you one of these, but it will give you 3 money on the reveal phase. One of the things that you have to be aware of is while you're bidding for these items in the marketplace, if you win the bid, you're going to possibly have to pay a price as well. So like, for example, this boulangère. If I won her in a bid, I'd have to pay 3 sesterces. If I didn't have that money, this card would just get removed from the game. This Roman, on the other hand, costs nothing, which makes it simple. So players are going to be placing down 2 cards in front of themselves to say that these are the items that I'm wishing to bid for. Unless they want some money, then they leave that hidden as well. You then can solidify your bid by bribing. Now, if players are bidding for the same thing, nobody's going to get anything for it. So if 2 players are bidding for whatever is on D, nobody gets anything. But you can place a bribe This is a simple case of just putting some money on top of that card that you wish that you want to win. Other players may be doing the same thing. They may be putting some more money on, so you may have to put even more money on. This will solidify the fact that you will win that item. But the thing is, you don't know what the other players' items that they want. You know, they might be wanting D, or they might be wanting something else. So you can then place a bribe. Once all players have placed 2 cards and finished bribing, if they're going to bribe, that's when everybody reveals simultaneously the cards that they have in front of them. If they did reveal a money card, they just take 3 sesterces from the bank in the middle of the table. I'll explain the cards in detail after I explain the market purchasing phase. In this phase, you'll just go through all of these in order from A to 5. So starting with A, we'll see who has bid for A. We have 2 players that have bid for A. There is no bribes on them, so there is an equality, which means that this card gets thrown away and removed from the game. But not all is lost. Both these players will receive, as compensation, 1 sesterce. On B, we have this Roman, and there's only 1 player that has bid for B, which means that they win this bid, and then of course they pay the cost, which is 0, so that's a bonus, and then they take this card and place it in front of them. On C here, again we have 1 player that has bid on C, and they have placed a bribe. They lose that bribe, and on top of that they will have to pay 2 to place this card in front of them. If they can't pay the 2 marked on the card, or whatever value is marked on the card, this card gets removed from the game and life goes on. But if they pay the 2, they get to keep this card and place it in front of them as well. On D, again we have 2 players that have bid for D, but one of them has put a bribe on, which means that they will win the bid. They get to take this card and place that in front of them, obviously after paying the cost. Now let's rewind a bit. Let's go back. Let's say that this player here had a Roman. They could destroy this card to give them a 2 bribe, which would be superior to that player, which means that they would win this person. Again, if 2 people had bribed and nobody had obviously won, they take their bribes back with them, and also they would also get 1 sesterce each as compensation, and again this card is removed. E, nobody has bid for. And then we go to 1. Again, we have 2 people that have bid for 1. Nobody's put a bribe on, which means nobody gets it. So that goes in the bin. And again, each player gets a sesterce in compensation. Nobody has bid on 2. There's 1 player that has bid on 3. And they pay the amount and take that. Nobody's bid on 4. And nobody's bid on 5. Now, with the round complete, we need to refresh the market. The first thing you'll do is you'll place 1 sesterce on each of the cards that remains. And then you will take from the top of each deck and fill up each space that there is. You rinse and repeat, and the game will finish when, for example, there is no cards to draw and there's a space on the deck, which means that the game has finished. And that's when you do the scoring. When you win one of the items people places, you will place that card in front of you. Now there are 4 different types of resources. There's beer, bread, potions and weapons. So you just place it in front of you. At the end of the game, if you have a majority of one of these 4 resources, you will get maximum points for it. If you have the least amount of one of these 4 resources, you will get 0 points. Some of these resources come in doubles as well, so look out for those. They're a bit more expensive, but they give you double, and you will just place this simply next to the same thing. All this information is visible to the other players so they can gauge what direction you're going in. There are also some jokers. Now, when you play a joker, you will just place it in a column, and that will count as one of that resource, so that's 1 extra bread. Let's say, for example, we got a joker and we played it here. You can't really leave a joker on its own. It needs to be paired with something. So later on, maybe we get a beer and we pair it with a beer. So now we have 2 beers. Not only are there people with resources, there are also places with resources. If you win one of these, you just add it to the queue like normal. But as you notice at the top here, it has a special bonus which is activated immediately. You will get 1 sesterce for every potion that you already have. So here I have 4, so I would recuperate 4 sesterce, which is a bonus. There are 2 other special people characters as well that you can win. One is the little dog and one is the Roman soldier. Now, the Roman soldier has a special ability. At the end of the game, he will be worth 2 points if you still have him in front of you. But during the course of the game, you could destroy this card to gain yourself a 2 bribe instantly. So if someone has bid on something the same as you and you desperately want it, you could trash this card to place a 2 bid on top of the card that you want to win that card, which is good. And the dog here, again, he gives you 1 victory point at the end of the game, but he will also give you 1 victory point for every Roman that you have. This is a market. Okay, this does nothing until the end of the game. This will give you 6 points if you have the required items on the shopping list. In this case, 2 swords and a bread. So that would give you 6 points. So, in this case, I would get the 6 points at the end of the game because I had 2 swords and 1 bread. But if I had a second market, this one wouldn't score because I've already used those 2 swords and that bread to pay for this market, which means that this is obsolete. So be careful what you buy. This statue of Augustus will give you 3 points at the end of the game, and it will give you 1 point for every building that has a statue of Augustus symbol, which is this little column. And as you can see, there are 2 here. Now this tavern here at the end of the game will give you 2 points plus 1 point for every blue card you have. Blue cards are for the weapons experts and also the workshops. And this bakery here will give you 1 point for every bread that you have as a resource. You'll do the final scoring on these score sheets. You go through the 4 resources. Whoever's got the most of a resource will get 10 points. The other players will get 4 points, and the player with the least or none will get 0 points. If many players have got 0 bread, for example, they will all get 0 points. You do the 4 resources. Then you do the market cards. You score points for how many of these orders that you can fulfill. Then you will count up your Romans. How many Romans do you have in front of you? And then you will score the Augustus columns here, the statues. So that will tie in with those. And then finally, you score any other extra victory points. You get victory points for every 3 sesterces that you have, and that will give you a total score. So in conclusion, Lutèce is a board game that everybody should be shouting at, because this game will possibly get you angry, because it's a bidding game. And sometimes with bidding games, things get a bit chaotic. Things get really nasty. For example, there's been a couple of times when I played this game and I have got really angry at the game, because there's been times when I bid on something and someone else has bid on the same thing, so I don't win anything. I get a bit of money, yeah, that's great. And then someone else wins lots of stuff. And this goes on for several rounds where I'm blocked by one player who is getting lots of stuff, another player which is not getting as much stuff as me. So you get this kind of runaway leader aspect. It doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen sometimes, and it can be very frustrating. And it does kind of show in the scores at the end of the game as well. So a runaway leader, someone who's lucky enough to bid on things which nobody else is bidding on, can edge themselves in front a bit by bit. But that's not a bad thing. You can, as I said, you have all the open information of what they have collected, and you can probably gauge what card they're going to buy. And then you've accumulated a lot of money in this time, because if you've drawn with other players, you're getting that compensation. And so this will help balance the game out, but it just needs a bit more, I feel. The game is a very simple game to play and to learn to play and to teach, because it is just simply placing 2 cards down and hopefully nobody is going to get the same as what you've placed. And then you collect that, and it's then the balancing of all of the cards that you've collected, because you want a good overall round selection of each thing, because that's going to give you a better score. You may want to you know, excel in certain areas to give you a higher score, but it's just getting that general collection together, which is the fun of the puzzle. In regards to playing the game and teaching it, it does play pretty quickly. If you're playing a small 2-player game, you're looking at just under half an hour of playing. If you're playing a 5-player game, you're looking at a bit longer. You're looking just over an hour. Again, especially if you're playing with new people and you're teaching the game, it can go on a very long time, and that kind of whittles down. So if you're teaching this game for the first time, teach it to a small group. But it is very easy to teach, and then the game will go quicker, and then people will come back and want to play more afterwards, and then maybe play in a bigger group with more people knowing the rules. As a product as a whole, it is a great product. You have this wonderful, wonderful kind of asterisk looking artwork, which is really, really fantastic. The sisters, the components, the money is very good quality. And again, the box insert, as well as being very jolly and thematic, is actually a very good box insert and holds everything nicely. Score pad, there's not a lot there. There should have been a bigger score pad, or they should be like an app or something, I don't know. Maybe you can get an app later on. But in regards to all the components that you get into this box, they are top notch. The rule book, again, is top notch. It explains everything perfectly. It's a small 6-page booklet, 4-page booklet, 8-page booklet, yeah. Okay, but it does explain everything intricately. Another really beautiful thing about the art is the intuitive iconography. It's very simple to read the cards and figure out what they do and how they work. Again, this simple idea of any cards with icons at the top means that they are activated immediately, and icons at the bottom means they're activated at the end of the game. Really simple, really beautiful, and it works really, really well. So is this game my cup of tea? It's not too bad. It's one cup of tea that I don't mind drinking. It's not my favorite auction game. I like my auction games to be quicker, faster, and a little bit more of a shorter game, you know, because this does kind of go on and on until the cards are one deck have gone, and then it's the scoring. And as I said, there's that luck of maybe you might advance in front of everyone else because you bid on things which no one else has bid on, or maybe you've got the money to out-bribe everything, and you've got this massive resource of cards, and everyone else will feel, God, yeah, that's not fair. But it does work, and it is enjoyable, and it is fun. It's small, it's a card game, it works for me. I mean, it's not the greatest, but it does work. So there you have it, Lutèce. I hope that this video has helped you decide whether this is a game for your collection, or for a friend, or not. So all that remains for me to do is say thank you very much for watching this video. Thank you for taking this time. If you enjoyed it, give it a like, give it a thumb up, share it on all your media, you know, your Facebook, your Twitter. Also, you can like me on Facebook and Twitter on BoardGamesEverybodyShould.com. And if you really enjoy what I do and you want to help me, I have a Patreon set up where you can throw a few pennies my way every month as a monthly donation. I've also put some goodies up there that I can send to you if you donate quite a substantial amount, which is really nice, I think. Yes. So you can go and check them out. I also got my website, BoardGamesEverybodyShould.com, and I will say ciao for now. And remember that you don't have to buy every single board game that's out there. You just need to own just one or two good ones. Oh, I've got so much dust in this place, it's unbelievable.
Oh wow! I rolled a 1. I believe I've earned a critical failure song, gentlemen.
Just sitting at the table next to Felicia would be quite nice. Wouldn't it be good? I got some board games, I don't know how many. Just like they do on beer and board games. Man, it's your cousin, not an Aaron dream. I got no friends, stupid, play with Dylan and has no shame. So I play solo.
The game is very, very simple to learn how to play and to teach because it's just a set collection game, but it has this coughing